Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Yo, appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome in. It's another episode of DomCast. And here today I have my boy, Player2Gaming. With us today, we're going to be going over some mental health and suicide awareness things of Player2Gaming's perspective, kind of getting his insight on how he looks at things and how he looks at life. Thank you so much, Player2Gaming, for being here. I know you got a busy schedule. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, and I'm honored to have you here.
Honestly, the pleasure's all mine. I absolutely love you. I love your content. The topic of your Domcast right now hits close to home. So it was a no-brainer for me for sure.
Thank you so much, Player2. A lot of this is mainly because I'm noticing, and like what's crazy is after my last episode with GBK, I've seen at least 4 or 5 new posts on Twitter or Facebook about someone's good friend or someone's from the community, somebody losing their life because of suicide. It's like the more I talk about this, it seems like the more this is coming up. Which I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's not. I'm not gonna say it's a direct response to what I'm doing here, but it's at least I'm seeing more of it, and people are being more outspoken about it. And it's unfortunate. It's a little too late to see friends and family ending their lives for whatever may be the cause. And so this is the reason why I'm having this conversation, is mainly to make it easier for people to talk about and maybe come forward and say, "Listen, I need help." Whatever may be the case. So that's where this podcast is going, and that's what I want to do, is to make it easier so that way I think that's going to help save more lives than having people just have a typical PowerPoint slide, check the block type of like class that they may have at their workplace or something.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a very important topic to talk about, and not just once, but just ongoing, like just all the time. It's something that needs to be talked about a lot. I mean, people's lives are affected. I mean, I'd be surprised if there's anyone who hasn't been affected by suicide in some way or another throughout their life. Yeah, I think it's one of the most important things to talk about and to bring attention to. So yeah, I think it's important.
I think a lot of the problem for suicide, or the reason why it's so difficult, is because people don't like to talk about their drama because they don't want to trauma dump, or they don't want people to feel bad for them or feel like guilty. And I think a lot of that is definitely reasonable, but at the same time, it's like, well, if you're having these thoughts in your head, how do you get past feeling guilty upon guilt that you're already feeling guilty for already as it is? And I think a lot of it is just knowing that there's people there that can talk to you. And I think last week Miss Pikachu had mentioned how she didn't have anybody to talk to, and I kind of felt really bad because and I've always told her, and GBK had reached out to her, and I think you had mentioned it in comments too or something, that that she's able to reach out to anybody. And I think here's the thing, is like, if people are pushing you away, you got to find new people, because if they're not willing to listen to you and be there for you to vent, and if you don't have people like that, it just means that you just have the wrong circle, unfortunately. But we have plenty of different communities that we're all a part of that will have somebody there to help you out, and we're always there for everyone.
I think that's the beauty of having communities like this, like being a content creator, being a streamer, going live, and having a community that tunes in daily. I think it gives people a place to belong. It gives people a place to feel included, feel like they are missed when they're not there. Just a place to connect. And sometimes that's really all someone needs, is a place, like you said, someone to listen to, someone to talk to. You have no idea the difference that you can make just listening to someone, just talking to someone, just saying hi. Like you hear about the stories all the time where people are someone can be on their way to literally commit suicide that day. A small conversation or an interaction with someone, even a complete stranger, can completely change that outcome. It's just the most beautiful thing that can come from a community, an online community like this, of outcasts or nerds or gamers or whatever, whatever walk of life you're from. I think it's invaluable to have that available to you. Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
I agree. It's one thing that it's crazy, because like, I don't know if I've ever told you how I became a content creator, but I never would have imagined being able to do something like this, or even being at the point where I'm at, where I've done things to help others, whether it's just being there for them, or playing games with them, or just having a community here, gifting subs, or if it's helping StackUp.org, helping veterans do things the way we did last year, or even just having a platform like the way I have it right now, where people are enjoying these kind of conversations with other creators, and just seeing us for us and being human, and understand that we go through the same things that a typical person does on a daily basis.
Yeah, I agree.
So you know who Pac-Man is, but it's just amazing that he's gone really far from where he was in 2015, and he was on the verge of suicide in 2015, and he said he had a silent angel, and I love that term. And so I started using it in the podcast, because I've been someone's silent angel without realizing it, and a year later they hit me up and said, hey, this is what's going on, and so it made me feel like, one, I was like, I don't know how to respond to that, but at the same time, I'm like, that's awesome, because I saved someone's life without knowing it. And it wasn't like one of those situations where you see a car accident, someone's laying outside of the car and it's burning up, and you go and pull them out. It's not, but figuratively, in a way, it is. And it's insane how there's that feeling is still the same. And so I want to know if you have any experiences either being a silent angel, or did you have a silent angel, or where's your experience coming from in this situation?
Yeah, we went Vegas 2 years ago for a meetup. It was a Green Bay Kill Player2Gaming meetup. We just had a small group. I think there's like 13 of us, 14 of us.
Yeah, I remember.
And we were there for 2-3 days. And on the last night, we were having this big fancy dinner. We all around in a circle. And I'm not gonna name names just for privacy reasons or whatnot, because that was a safe space. But we were kind of all just we were all in our feels. We were saying goodbye for the it was the last evening, and we were all kind of going around the table, just like just spilling out the emotions and whatnot. And one of the community members who's been around for a while, he's opened up and he started talking. He started crying, and he said, I've never told anyone this, but I was at the point of planning my own suicide, and this community, you, Player 2 and Green Bay, you saved my life, and now now I have a life ahead of me. I'm happy. I've got a future. Yeah. Anyway, it was just I didn't even know what to say. I was just taken back. I was like, what? Like, I had no idea. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't have any idea this guy was going through this stuff. But it was super eye-opening, very humbling experience. And again, I don't take any credit for that. I give all the glory to God. I think God put me in that place for the time being, for a purpose, and he worked through me. So
yeah, that's the thing, is like, whether it's religious, whether it's spiritual, whether it's whatever you personally believe in something. At the same time, I also believe that there is a higher power of something that puts us in a place or helps us make those decisions that puts us to where we are today for particular reasons. As they say, opportunities may close, more doors open for other things. And that's the thing, is like, it's amazing. I commend you on sharing that and keeping the privacy of the person. That's awesome. And it's just an amazing feeling, but at the same time, it's like, wow, like I'm just being me. And that kind of goes to show what kind of character you have and you are, when people can, one, see what you're doing and it helps them in their real life, but then two, being able to be open and be brave, be loved, and be strong about it. Came up with those 3 little statements because that's what it comes down to. When someone can sit there and say, listen, this isn't worth it. I'm not alone. I have people that love and care about me. I'm being brave, I'm being loved, and I'm being strong. Those 3 things, if you can keep saying that to yourself and reaffirm those 3 things, you're going to understand there's going to be more people that are going to care for you if you can be able to build that. But it's also being able to help you be brave and be strong to be able to open up and talk to somebody about it. It doesn't even have to be something that you admire or that you're inspired by. It could be just a stranger on the street. If they give you the opportunity to listen, vent, do it. That could be something that helps you.
Yeah, definitely. You really have no idea. And like, even like reading chat, like Nomeo and PMD, and I get it all the time. Hey, your laughs, the laughs that you're bringing daily, the community, it's helped me through so many difficult times. Right now I'm going through this, I'm going through that, and like I said, it's humbling. It's an amazing feeling, but mostly I'm just happy that these people are here, that these people are smiling. Because like, people can just it's amazing. It's amazing what like a smile or a laugh can actually do. It's like, laughter is the best medicine, and it's true. And no one's above it. Like, everyone's gonna go through that. That's the thing with this topic, this mental health and this suicide awareness, is it will affect everyone, and everyone will go through it at some point. Someone once told me there are two types of people in the world. There are those who have suffered and those who will. It's just the human nature. It's just the condition of the world. We're in a broken world, and we're all broken people, and we're all trying our best.
I mean, you said it perfectly. Those that have suffered and those that will suffer, but at the end of it, those that come through the suffering will then be those that suffered. So it's a recurring cycle, and everyone goes through it and becomes the first thing, as long as they survive it and understand that there are people out there that can help. And it doesn't even have to be, and like, a lot of people are worried about finances and insurance and stuff like that with therapists or whatever. It doesn't even have to be. I mean, eventually it should be a therapist. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to tell you don't do that. I mean, eventually, if you have, I saw somebody back in 2008, 2009 when I was in Iraq, but there are resources out there for you to have. Definitely call somebody that that is a professional eventually, after you get to that point where you're like, okay, I got it. I'm climbing out of that darkness. I'm trying to find the light. But if there's somebody there that you feel comfortable talking, talk to them. Don't hesitate. Understand that it's more courageous and you're more brave by speaking up, speaking out, than holding it in. And you got to realize, we if you think about it this way, each person is a tree trunk, right? As we grow, everybody that we have associated ourselves with or come across becomes a branch. If you think about that, right? The moment the tree trunk goes, what happens? All those branches die out with it, in a sense, or even fall off or break or whatever may be the case. So when that one tree trunk goes, which I'm saying symbolizes whoever's, commits suicide, everyone's still affected. That all those branches are still affected. So it doesn't matter whether you think, yourself alone, that no one's going to care, no one's going to know, no one's going to this and that. No, there's going to be, hundreds of thousands of people that there's been times where I found out that, somebody that I knew back when I was in like 8th grade, was a family friend of ours that I lost contact with. Like I found out when I was deployed this last time, for 17 and 18, that she passed away because of drunk driving. Like even though it was like 10 years, 12 years later, it still affects me. Like it was still a good friend of mine. In this case, it wasn't a suicide, but regardless, when someone passes away, hundreds of thousands of people are affected eventually. It may not be instantaneously, but it's going to be eventually, because it's going to get around. Because sometimes you might go around and be like, yo, I haven't seen so-and-so in a while. Let me go check them out. And all of a sudden, boom, there's an obituary. It's like, fuck, dude, like really? Man, I wish I would have, and then you start giving the guilt and, so remember, tree trunks matter. I like saying that, but we all matter in a way that you don't even realize it. We just want you to be happy and understand that you can only control what you can control. If you're stressing, if you're feeling guilty about something that you can't control, and to the point of where social media is an effective thing, because I don't know why, but people get really stressed out when like one or two people call them a bad person. It's like, well, no, I don't. Like, okay, it's only two people. How many people do I know? Like, it's not going to change me because it doesn't affect me, and it's something that's out of my control. If he feels that way, he feels that way. I can't change that. Same thing goes with anything else in life. You can only affect things that you can change. And if you can't change it, put that at the bottom of your priority and make the priority of things that you can change.
Yeah, it's true. And yeah, like, going off that, the things people say, it's easy to say, well, that doesn't affect me. That's the way they feel about me. It doesn't affect me or whatever. But like as a content creator, when I read through comments, like you can only imagine, especially with the reach that I have, I get an incredible amount of, hate comments, just the most outrageous things, and part of me wants to think, well, it doesn't matter what this person thinks about me. It doesn't matter what this person says about me, or that person's probably going through something, or this person's probably hurting in some way or another. And it's true. They probably are. I mean, you got to be honest that like, those comments can eat at you. They can affect you. And I see it all the time. Like I read other creators' comments, and I'm just like, how can these people say these kind of things to people? How can a complete stranger tell someone to kill themselves? You know what I mean? Like even last night, I don't know, were you in stream last night when that when it was near the end, when I joined a couple randoms, and right away, I start with my annoying Canadian accent, whatever, just having fun. Right. And right away this dude calls me, the R word, and says I should kill myself. And I don't know, something hit me that, normally I would just laugh it off and whatever, and troll him. But I immediately broke character, and I was triggered. I was like what is wrong with you? What gives you the what makes you think you have the right to tell a complete stranger to kill themselves? And anyway, I saw red and I just went off on this guy. I wasn't I wasn't being hurtful. I wasn't returning the favor with insults and whatnot. I did tell the guy not to procreate, which I still think he shouldn't. But
Right.
I'm still thinking about that, because like, suicide has hit me in so many different ways in the 34 years that I've been on this planet. And I mean, words carry a lot of weight. If I had been someone else, who was currently, or maybe if that comment had happened to me earlier in my life, maybe I wouldn't be here today. Maybe I would have killed myself, because you never know what someone's going through. You never know what is going to be the tipping point for someone to actually walk off and put a gun in their mouth. Like it blows me away, especially as someone like, I just want to love everybody. I just want everyone to feel like they're worthy. Mm-hmm. Like they are loved, like they're noticed, like they're seen, and that they would be missed if they're gone. When I was in high school, there was this really quiet kid. His name was Alex, and he was an incredible artist. He had binders and binders full of these comic skits that he would create, little characters that he had made, and just like the ones you used to see in the back of the newspaper, yeah. Incredibly creative, hilarious, and I loved it. And I just, every day I'd come and go, and I'd turn around, I'd say, show me your comics today. Like, let's see what you got. And I loved it. And he would never smile. He was just, you could tell he was just, something was going on. And I said, I'm gonna be this guy's friend. I wasn't the most popular kid, in fact, I wasn't popular at all. I was popular when I was in private school, but the moment I switched over to public school, yeah, I was quiet. I was the artsy kid. I was the weird kid. Everyone thought I was, yeah. Anyway, we had a project. It was a video project for World War II on the Holocaust, and we got together and we worked, and we made an awesome video, and it was great. We all got made fun of for it because we went above and beyond the project. Everyone else was like, oh, nerds. whatever. Summer hits and he kills himself. And I just was, that hits, because it's like, well, shit, like what did I do wrong? I knew the guy was struggling. I knew he was hurting inside. What, like, did I do something wrong? And I know I didn't. I know it's not my fault. It's just the world. Who knows? Maybe he was playing a video game and some fuckwad told him to kill himself. Who knows? And years later, working at a bar, I was a bartender. I worked there for, I don't know, 3 years. Another good friend of mine there killed himself. Just popped a bunch of pills and decided he didn't want to be here anymore. That one was very different, because he was popular. He was loved. He was a ton of fun. He was always laughing and he was outgoing. And then all of a sudden, so there's two completely different, spectrums to this. There's one guy that's clearly going through something, and one guy, you have no idea what's going on in this guy's head. And that takes me to further down the road in my life, when my dad attempted suicide. Took a bunch of pills, went for a drive. Luckily, he lost consciousness and kind of just rolled into the grass or whatever, and the police found him. But like, I didn't know, no idea. I was just getting ready to go for an evening shift. I was a paramedic. I was about to go to work, and my mom called me and said, "Hey, your dad's in the hospital, and he attempted. It looks like an attempted suicide." You can imagine the thoughts going through my brain, like, what?
Right.
Like, so that hit hard, and that kind of I don't know if it maybe just changed something in me. But years down the road, it was the winter of 2015. I was just at home playing video games, smoking some weed. All of a sudden, I had this panic attack out of nowhere. It was the craziest thing in my life, and I thought I was dying. I stood up. I was like, I'm having a heart attack. So I went to Emerge. We they went through and they did all the tests, and they said you had a panic attack. Like, a panic attack? What are you talking about? I'm not anxious or nervous about anything. I got nothing to panic about. Okay, well, I'll blow it off. Maybe it was some bad weed. Very next day, exact same thing. That evening, my wife's at work. Had a panic attack. Worked through it. I got my wife came home, but then something changed in me, and it was like this mental thing that was going on. This mental health issue that kind of became a physical issue, and I started to get these feelings. I would get these weird feelings in my chest when it started, and I would start to feel anxious and panicky, and then I became disassociated with reality. I had no idea like what it's hard to explain kind of where my brain and my mind went to, but I got tired of it, and it was like 4 months in, I'm still feeling the same. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel, I started to have imposter syndrome, and I started to go back through my whole life and go, well, you're feeling like this because you did that, or you did this, or people don't like you, or who knows. Just everything started piling in, and I got to the point where I wanted to kill myself. I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done with this. Let's see, how would I do it? And I got to that point where I started thinking, what would be the quickest way? Maybe I could jump off a building. Maybe I could take some pills and go to sleep and never wake up. Yeah, it was a really, really, really dark time in my life. My wife saved my life, for sure. And again, my faith did as well. I started going to church again and just praying and reading my Bible. And I watched a lot of Bob Ross. I would just kind of focus on some other stuff. And I talked a lot about it. I decided to really start opening up about what was going on inside. And it's good to talk about it. It felt really good to talk about it. And past that now, I went through those dark ages, and but they'll definitely always be with me. They're always there. There's always that realization that I am just, a weak blob of flesh with a child inside me, like a scared, weak individual. It just is what it is. And go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'll say, I think you're just a scared individual. Weak is probably the least, or the probably the word I wouldn't use, man. What you've gone through makes you stronger than you think, and not even just with what your personal experiences is, but just seeing what other personal experiences have gone through and the result of that and where it led to, and then where you are today. Makes you a stronger human and a stronger person, physically, spiritually, and mentally, if you really think about it, because you've overcome so much and you're continuing to thrive. There's a lot of things that we go through. Unfortunately, there's sometimes where nothing we can do. We just may have been a little too late. But at that point, when people are at that point where they're already planned it out, when they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, if nothing is intervening before that's when it's just already done and over with, and it's unfortunate. But nobody's weak, whether they're attempting suicide, whether they're thinking they have suicidal thoughts, or they survived a suicidal attempt, or just dealing with depression, period. We're all strong in our own way, but we're stronger when we realize we can defeat anything together than alone. We got to look at ourselves, look at what ants do, and ants don't necessarily fight alone. They typically fight within their own
colony.
I mean, when what happens when you disturb an anthill? They all come out, right? But they're also super freaking strong when they're together, because then they literally can lift up this this can to us may be like a little light when it's empty, but for one ant probably can't pick it up, but then two ants can probably pick it up, and they're walking away with it, But that's what I'm associating suicide awareness with, is the more of us are together, we're stronger. We're going to save lives. But if we allow people to go unnoticed, and like you said, you got the spectrum of everyone that you don't even realize it, super go happy person, out energetic, always going out doing things. And then you got those people that are like obvious, like there's some risk factors that are piling up. And then eventually there's some warning signs. They're all of a sudden, the next thing you see on Twitter, they're giving away their whole PC setup, or they're giving away their prized possessions, or they're drinking up unusually more than normal, and multiple things that are just starting to pile on. If people start noticing, like if there's something that's tingling in your head about something that I'm doing, or that PTG's doing, or that someone in the community is doing, like the moment you start feeling like wait, that's not really them, you probably should reach out. I mean, honestly, just reach out and ask them how they're doing, see what they're up to. Because in the Army, we don't necessarily jump into it right away either, but we learn to ask, are you planning on killing yourself? We actually teach them, and we tell them that's exactly what you need to say when you're at that point of thinking somebody is at that point. Because if I go and say, well, are you planning on hurting yourself? Like, what are you thinking? You're like, yeah, I mean, I can cut my wrist. I mean, I want to hurt myself. Or I'm thinking of, I don't know, something that's hurting versus killing, you know what I'm saying? So like they can be very deceiving, especially if they don't want you to know. So if you're asking them directly, what's going to happen? If I ask you, are you planning on killing yourself? Your thought is going to be more likely like, fuck, how do you know? He cares. Holy shit. Somebody actually gives a shit. They know that, it starts triggering those emotions that they haven't felt in a while. It starts making them take a step back and realize like, this isn't the right thing to do. I can't go through it now. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we in our Army, we teach that stuff. And I'm sorry that you went through that last night with that jerk that came through. Honestly, I didn't see it, but it was unfortunate that you had to go through that. And I don't know about Canada or the UK or any other country. I know America has become more vigilant with prosecuting people who do that, and then like the person that they tell it to, if they actually commit the suicide or the act, the person that told them to do it actually gets put in prison. And so they're threatening people, telling people to kill themselves. Like, I don't understand why do you have so much more energy to be negative and be hateful and be dreadful? Like it's actually a lot easier to be nice and be positive.
It takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown, right?
Right. I used to be an angry person when I first joined the military, and it wasn't because of the military. It's just I was competitive. I hated not getting my way, and I hated this and I hated that, and I was just like, I was an angry person, and then I joined the military and I learned my place because there was somebody that was more angry than me, and so the damn drill sergeants know. But I learned that it didn't get me anywhere. I learned that a long time ago, that like you were saying, you didn't resort to downsizing yourself to meet his level, and that was great on you, and that's awesome. That just shows how much further you've gone and how much stronger you've become with being able to hold back everything that's within you. Like you said, you saw red. Like last time I saw red, I did some things I kind of regret, but it was also deserving. But at the same time, at that point, I learned that I can't allow myself to go that way, because what does it solve? It doesn't solve anything. And killing people with kindness is going to give you more power and more respect in the long run than stooping to their level.
Eventually, like, he didn't know these guys didn't know what to do, that they quit. They quit the game. And it's like, I like to think they quit the game because maybe something ticked in their brain, like, oh shit, like, I'm embarrassed now. I feel like an idiot, and I hope they do. Not because I want them to feel stupid, but because I hope that it
teaches them
change.
A lesson. Yeah.
Teaches them lessons, not to get back at them.
I mean, that's the thing, is like a lot of this stuff is it's an up and down roller coaster, just like content creating is, just like anybody's job, any corporate America or corporate world position is. You're gonna have the ups and downs of life, and that's really what it comes down to. And if you can't figure out how to prioritize what you can change and affect, that's where you're gonna start leading down that path of the darkness. But find someone that's gonna be your light. And I know you've been a huge inspiration for me since the day I met you on your stream spawn with GBK, and like I mean, just like everyone in your community has talked about, like your laughter and your creativity is contagious, and just the positivity that you put out and how much you love your community and how much you love your family has really helped a lot of people, to include myself, with just having a better night. And that's the thing of what we try to do with content is, even I know there's a lot of people that go out there and tell you, like, don't fucking stream if you're not feeling it. Like, if you had a bad day, don't stream. And it's like, well, it depends, because if you feel like you can't stream to your community when you're at your lowest? Do you really have like that, what it takes to be that content creator? You know, now granted, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it every time, but like, there are some times where
Right.
maybe you just need to take a break because you've been doing it for
Yeah.
whatever. But for me, the reason why I stream, even when I'm in a bad mood, is because my community, our communities, we come together and it makes my night better, right? And I hope that I do the
Right.
same thing in return for people that come in to view the stream, because that's what it's about. Like, I don't want to use my platform to be spreading hate or to be a troll. I mean, granted, there's some content that I love trolling about, but I don't want the platform to be utilized in a way that's going to be negative. We only want to bring positivity in. And if I could do that for you, for the community, then the community can return the favor in that sense, then I'm happy. Because, like, I mean, all the subs in the world can do a lot, but it's not going to buy happiness. It's not going to buy the connection with people.
No, it's the connection. It's exactly like you said, you know, before, like if you're down, you know, or if you're going through something, you know, it takes a lot for someone like someone who's an entertainer to go live and to give themselves to the community. But that's the beautiful thing about these communities, these streamer communities, is it's not just us as streamers giving entertainment and giving a place for other people. We're just as part of that community as the viewers in your chat right now. You know, I'm going through something right now, and I'm I don't want to get into it, but you know, the other day I was just pacing around my house, and I called up Panda Skills and we chatted for about an hour, and I'm just thinking, I told him, I said, I don't know, I'm supposed to go live, it's community games today, and I don't think I have it in me. And he said, bro, listen, he said, go for a walk, stay off your phone, clear your head, and just do what feels right. And when I came back, I was like, you know what feels right is, like, I want to be with my community right now. I don't need to be alone right now. I need to be with my community. And I sat down feeling really, really down. You know, the stream started off, I was pretty low energy. It was clear that something was up, and I shared with the community what was going on. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. But within an hour, I felt great, man. I felt not alone. I felt supported. I felt loved, which is great. Which is great because that's what I love, my community, and I feel and I know that they love me too. You know, and I mean, I'm just a guy that likes to smoke a lot of weed, listen to Bob Marley, and just love people, man. I think everyone just needs to be loved. I don't care who you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you're gay or straight. I don't care if you're religious. I don't give a shit. If you're a fellow human being on this planet, I want to connect with your soul. I want to connect with your heart, and I want you to know that you're loved. You know, so. Yeah. So I am equally grateful. We know when people in my community say, hey, oh, thank you so much. We're so grateful for you and your entertainment, and you make us laugh. And I'm like, great. But, you know, I'm equally thankful, you know, and I try to make a point, you know, every stream to let them know, you know, hey, I love you guys and I need you guys just as much, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly, dude. Like, that's the beauty of it. Like, it's a two-way street. Like, there's no one-way conversations in content creating. Once you get to a point where you have a core community and they're there for you, you're there for them. The moment, if I can jump out of things, if I can figure out how to succeed, if I can figure out how to pull myself out of the darkness, I think anybody really can. Don't get me wrong. It's not just all on you, right? The courage comes from you to be able to open up, but it's also on every one of us to just simply say, hey, how's your day going? What's wrong with I mean, every time I'm walking down the street, I see someone new, I don't just shake my head. Like, you know, everyone goes, like, gives that, like, head nod, like, yo, you know, I'm like, hey, how's your day? Or when I go through security or I have to show my ID for work, whatever, hey, hope you have a great day. Stay blessed. Stay warm.
Yeah.
I can't understand how people just ignore people. Like, they just don't do it, you know?
No, a simple smile, you know, like that goes a long way. Even like homeless, for example, that's a big one. My sister was homeless. She's been homeless for the last like 10 years. Addicted to you know, every drug you can think of, lost all her kids, just, you know, living on the streets, and so you know, I've always had such a soft place for homeless people, because they're the ones, like, they're really unseen. Imagine sitting on the street, you know, nobody makes eye contact with you. You know, they cross the other side of the street, they walk right past you. Man, just carry some granola bars in your purse or your car or something. If you walk into a Tim Hortons and I see a homeless guy sitting on the street outside, I'll grab an extra coffee, I'll walk out, I'll say, here you go, stay warm, stay blessed. They're people too, man, you know.
But you're right. Coffee is going to help
Give them
them
a
long
coffee
run,
or a
yeah.
granola bar and a smile. What harm is that, you know? I love the conversation, and I would like to keep it going, but as you know, more than everyone else would. Got a deadline.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Any last things you want to say before I ask you about, you know, what's coming up for Christmas for, you know, your streams?
I just want to say thank you, man. I just want to say thank you. I think it's beautiful what you're doing, and like I said, I've seen you grow. I remember, you know, years ago, you reached out to me on Discord and you were like, hey, do you have a couple minutes? I got some questions, and and we got into a video call, and you were like, hey, what do you think of the setup? What, I want to be a streamer, and I remember that conversation. I could just picture it in my brain. I can picture your setup, and you had your shells, and you were really low on your camera. Anyway, and I remember we were and that just sparked this amazing friendship. And right away I knew, I said, there's something with this guy, man. He's different. And here you are. I'm just incredibly proud of you. I've been seeing you all over Twitter, on people's Twitters. You just got rated by Big E. People got their eyes on you because they're seeing what I saw years ago. So congratulations, man, and keep doing what you're doing, brother.
But yeah, no, dude, thank you so much for the kind words, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, it only helps when you have inspirations like you to help lead us in the right direction and navigate through the content space. And you keep doing what you're doing, man. You have this big brain, creative mind with a big heart, bro. You're gonna make it somewhere. You're gonna get there. You've already made viral once. You're gonna be viral again. We know it. You're gonna come out big and strong, man. All right, I love you, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, brother.